live in the dungeon. This is the Dream Warrior Review. I'm Kurt Thomas.
I'm Mick Strawn.
Episode 69. So, whoever did the voice of Hal, the computer, did a great job.
Oh, is that it?
No, it sounded just like Hal.
It did. But,
so we just saw a movie called Upgrade, 2018. It was a very good student film on Netflix. I mean, wait, it was in the theater.
It was, we paid, well, we do,
Movie Pass.
Movie Pass.
We didn't really pay much for it.
You know what? I think that if I didn't have Movie Pass, I'd have
mad.
something to say about that.
I would have asked for my money back.
Oh,
Regal
yeah,
would have had a phone call from me. I would have put that.
I would have, you know what I would have done? I would have written a strongly worded email.
I would have gone up to the usher, pushed him against the wall and said, "Stop that. Why are you making me do this?" To myself.
To yourself, right? Yeah, exactly. Because, right.
The car sucks. That was my first note.
Oh, it was the worst.
Futuristic car that drives
and we
itself.
talk about this. We talk about this all the time. You know, the futuristic car is hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is a pretty good example of, how hard it can be. Because, man, that was pretty bad.
And then there were cop cars that had like something laid over top of them or something on the top.
Yeah, it was.
Which didn't look bad. I guess it was the lights.
Well, they didn't do that bad of a job with the cop car. However, I might add that it looked exactly like a modern car.
Right.
It looked like a sedan.
Yeah.
They kind of dressed it up just a little bit.
And at first I thought they had flying cars, but then I realized they were drones.
But the main car, car was just absolutely the honeycomb thing on the side and all of it. So why don't you tell everybody just exactly what happened?
Well, this is set in the near future.
Ooh.
Technology controls nearly all aspects of life, but when Gray, a self-identified technophobe, has his world turned upside down, his only hope for revenge is experimental computer chip implant called STEM. And by the way, Saturn III is much better than this movie.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go.
As I was reading that, I was like, it sounds similar.
It sounds similar, but actually,
artificial intelligence going bad. See, I told you I like movies like this, but sometimes it can go wrong.
Yeah, the thing is there were so many angles in here that were, as far as author goes, I'm thinking of Philip K. Dick and William Gibson. You have like Blade Runner, but the thing is all these ideas were not well represented. The look of it was cheesy.
Well, it's not an original idea.
No, it's not an original idea.
It can be executed in amazing ways.
Exactly, it could. They could start with actually hiring an actor.
Right. Maybe have good writers to be part of it.
And the robotic stiffness that he did was terrible. I mean, really terrible.
You got to wonder if he watched Terminator and tried to
Yeah. Well, what I thought was kind of interesting was, and I did like it for like 1 second, was when he goes into like beast mode. Yeah. Into the robo mode.
Oh, I like the fight scene.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, in the kitchen, I think it was.
Yeah. It was interesting, and I had to think to myself that that's how they sold the film.
Yeah. Well, no, the sound, they had cool sound with it.
Yeah, but I'm saying that's how they got the money for the whole thing, because it was kind of absurdly good.
It didn't fit.
It didn't fit. It was
because I perked up. I was like, oh,
yeah. See,
and then it was really gory at the end, and I was like, cool.
Right. It was like that part in the gore kind of came from another movie.
Yeah.
And I think that it felt like it was crowdfunded, and that they put that up and said, "Oh, look at what we got here," and Blumhouse went, "Yeah, okay, we got it." But boy, they didn't have it.
Was that the same house they used in that Netflix movie Titan?
Oh, right. Had the look.
It had the same exact
Yeah,
look. I was like, it has to be the
really
same.
did.
I can't remember what the movie was. I think it was Titan.
And that cave, that horrible underground. You know, one thing that you have to
Underground.
think. Well, one thing that you have to think to yourself is, and I actually do this from time to time. I look at a set that I've done and I'd say, would anybody actually live here? Would anybody spend time here? And here's the thing. There was like a set for a really, really rich guy. And when you walked on and you went, yeah, but would he live in a tomb? Really? I mean,
Well, he was a depressed lad.
he was a bit depressed.
He looked like
He looked like a depressed
like a flock of
12-year-old.
seagulls met with children of the damned, and they had a child. That's what it would look like.
In which case, when we meet him and he has a literal cloud over his head.
Yes, I know, Linus.
I swear, I thought that was. It was a cartoon. The guy had.
He looked like flock of seagulls.
He
but
really did.
He had that
The guy-
children of the damned look. You know what I'm talking about? The blonde.
The thing is you're looking at him and you're thinking to him when he's facing his cloud,
Sad
his
sack.
own personal cloud.
Yes.
And you think that, well, this guy's just going to be weird and sad. And then he turns around and guess what?
He was weird and sad.
He was weird and sad.
They even asked him,
Somebody-
"What's that?"
Yeah.
It's my cloud.
It's my cloud. It was so funny.
And then there was machines that seemed to know everything, but then for some reason, when he was trying to overdose himself, why would the machine give him a
Right.
second dose? It would just stopped and said, "You're only
it's
supposed
like-
to have this
yeah,
much."
Really. Yeah, it's like boom, 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 boom. If I give you one more, I'm going to kill you. and it's halfway there already. Well,
Yeah, the dialogue was pretty bad.
oh, man.
There were some scenes where I was like, "Did he just say that?" And then
Oh, yeah.
you said out loud, he just said that.
You just said that.
I guess I was making a noise or something.
I did. Yeah. You said that. All right. It's, yeah, boy, I tell you, you could smell that one coming a mile away. It was,
So why did the 450 people on IMDb give it 7.4 out of 10?
really 7.4
like,
out of
yeah.
10. It must have been for the blood and guts.
Oh, the 450 people that worked on the film
Oh, that's right.
saw
Yeah.
this.
There was no 450 people working on that film, buddy.
So I had hopes for this because I saw the graphic is cool. And then
Yeah.
I started watching the trailer, which I usually don't do. If I
Right.
haven't seen a trailer, I just go in blind. But
Right.
I was sitting here like, since there were only 2 showings, I had so much time in between. I didn't see the first one, so I had
Right.
to wait for the second. So I was like, "Oh, see the trailer." I got 1 minute in out of 2 minutes and cut
Okay,
it off.
Who was the cop? The black girl that was the cop.
Yeah, she was actually good.
She was actually great. And I've seen her before in some stuff.
She was actually the best one in this whole
There's
movie.
absolutely no doubt about it. She stood out.
Betty Gabriel.
Betty Gabriel. Let's see what she's done because I've seen her several
She
times.
has a cool look.
Yeah, she has
Westworld.
Oh, she's in Westworld, right? Unfriended, Diverted Beyond Skyline, Get Out. She was in Get Out. That's right. The Purge, election year.
Wow.
Yeah, I have to tell you, she hasn't been in a lot of things, but she's going to be in a lot of more things. She has a very interesting look, and her acting was impeccable.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, she was the one that was carrying.
she carried. Yeah.
It's funny because when she came into a scene, it was all about her. I mean, absolutely, just blew your main actor.
Well, I was happy to see her a couple times. I was like, "Oh, thank God, somebody's there."
Man, yeah, something I want to watch.
And then the scene where he had to fight himself, that was kind of brutal.
Yeah, embarrassing is what it was. Yeah, and you know what? I didn't mind his wife that much. I mean, I thought that she was delivering a much better performance than. See, I'm going to have to hand this one to the women.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
But by far, because the women were, just completely out acting anybody in here that was a guy.
If only the woman that played the cop was actually the one that had the stem in her.
Yeah. How about that?
Whoa.
Whoa. You know what? The STEM should have thought of that. The STEM should have written it.
For me, the most painful thing to watch was the guy, the Flock of Seagulls guy.
Yeah, he was
painful.
He was in the hospital room. Him in the hospital room. Ooh,
Dr. Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Came in.
Ooh, that was pain. And I have to
It's
say,
moving.
the other
The
thing
hand
goes
is moving.
the wrap up.
Yeah.
You know, when he's sitting there, and,
It was like a TV wrap up.
yeah, and we were going through like the whole history of the show, and oh well, let's look at it this way because this is, oh man, that was hard.
It was like we were watching episode 2.
We already lived through this thing once.
Have to make it a few minutes longer.
Yeah, why? Please don't do that. Please don't do that. Yeah, and what happens when you get on a turkey like that? You know, it's funny. I was thinking.
Well, you make the best of it, I guess.
I guess, you know,
Like if people will see the cop and say, "Oh, she's awesome."
that's
Let's
true.
use her in something. And the guy that did the Hal voice, I can't do that. I don't know. I can't do Hal.
I've been on some turds, boy.
So when you're working on a film like that, it's like it wasn't. I was listening to that. I think it was it Peter Von Schaley or somebody that was on the Boneheads. I think it was Boneheads.
Right, yeah.
But he was talking about how when you're on a film and it's like the worst piece of crap that you ever worked on.
and you have to be
and you can't say anything because you'll be the asshole that said something.
Right. No, you can't. You get. In fact, you know, the fact is this is if it's the worst thing that you've ever worked on, that is the point that you can't possibly say anything. You know, if it's like got rough edges and stuff like that, you can sit down and talk about the rough edges.
Right, yeah, you can fix it.
Well, but you can you can discuss it.
Yeah.
I mean, you can actually say, well, you know, I think that this part, or I think this needs to get better. If you're stuck on a turkey, I mean,
you can't say this is the biggest piece of crap. Why are we doing this?
You can't say anything at all. You just kind of gotta suck it up and go smile.
Which it must be really bad for the actors, like if they know that they're in something that they're.
Oh, actors never know.
They never.
Oh my God!
Really, you don't think so? You don't think there's ever a time where like George Clooney or somebody probably was like, I don't know about this one.
No,
maybe not George Clooney. That's a bad example.
Actors are the most unself-aware human beings that exist. I mean, their ability to fool themselves into thinking that this is going to work out goes way beyond the comprehension of a mere human being. Way beyond the comprehension of a mere human being. You know, it's yeah.
I guess I can see that.
Yeah. No, because I think part of it is the fact that they have to get into a certain space and
we have to buy into it, I guess.
And you buy, you know, and here's the thing. But wait, let's rate this, and then I'm going to talk.
Let's rate it.
That. Yeah, let's rate this. I'm going to say, Beans is you couldn't talk, and this is going to, for me, I'm going to give this 2 cough drops. 2 cough drops.
I was going to give it 2, but then I was thinking about the dialogue. I'm like, yeah. 1.75.
1.75. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. You know what? I'm way down there with you. Way down there.
Because I shouldn't laugh out loud during a serious scene because of what they're saying.
Oh yeah. It was. I worked on a film called Dead Men Don't Die.
Story time. Story time. It's story time with Mick. 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 Story time with Mick.
Oh.
And it was epic.
I think we talked about that. Wasn't that the Elliot? Was it Elliot?
Elliot Gould,
yes.
Right? Where my son, and I mentioned that, you know, as we were going across town, that they all got arrested.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, that was like this. I mean, I'm sure that, and self-awareness. I'm telling you right there. I mean, you know, I don't know if actors ever notice it. They never let on, and they certainly kind kind of do their best, but the whole zeitgeist can drag them down. You know, I also worked on this one that came. I think it was called Mr. Christmas Dinner. I don't know what it was released as.
It was a Lucky Stiff.
It was directed by Anthony Perkins, and it had like a cast of
Really?
It had a cast of the. And here was the thing: it was written by Pat Proft, and Pat Proft was the writer of Airplane.
Oh, really?
Yeah. No, I mean, he had a tremendous long history of really great films. But if you really look closely, it was interspersed by horrible films, right? You know, and luckily I got on one of the horrible films, but you would look at the script, and the script had all these great jokes. And you're like, wow, this is great. I mean, and it had Joe Lasky.
Looks good on paper, right?
It was great on paper. But the actual execution of it, I mean, really, and I had never really done that much comedy wise.
Was it one of those like what am I trying to say? Like, were they bringing a bunch of big names?
No,
like ensemble cast is what I'm thinking.
Yeah, it was an ensemble cast that they were pulling from TV stuff, but trying to. I can't even tell you. I think Donna Dixon was in it. Donna Dixon and Joe Lasky.
Wow.
And Joe Lasky, I got to tell you, when you're on a turkey like that, you know, Joe Lasky was funny. He was like 350 pounds or something like that. Died not too long after it. And he had to ski and be dunked in water, and he had to ride a horse and go up. And here's the thing. All these things he said that he could do none of them. I mean, absolutely none of them. And he was scared of heights, so he had to go up on the ski chair. But, you know, he had become my friend because I was doing special effects, but I was also kind of like, you know, it was one of those films where, like, we hired some, you know, questionable, not that we hired questionable people, but like everybody that we knew that was really any good at all was working on something else. And I was kind of like in between a couple of other actual films. And I'm working on this one. And we hired a prop master, and Gerald Olson, who's a good friend of mine. He's going to be in my book about Nightmare on Elm Street 4. And like, we did our best and hired this prop master that, and this is exactly what Jerry said. Jerry said, hey, you know what? Here's how this is going to work. I don't care. You bring on who you want. You know, for prop master, knock yourself out. The only thing I have to say is this, is if he succeeds, I'm going to shake his hand. If he screws up, I'm going to knock you out. You know, I was like, oh, okay. And that was kind of the way that Jerry played it. He really, you know, people that he trusted, he liked to control them like a mob boss.
Well, it works for you, I guess.
It worked, you know. Yeah, Nat had to present everything to me, and I had to tell him how to work it. It was funny as hell. Yeah. Huh. But I mean, this film was so bad, and it was like the making of it became the same, was actually funnier than actually working on it, because like this is where a certain friend Anthony, who's the director of it? Come on.
Anthony Perkins,
right?
Yeah.
Anthony Perkins, who maybe indulged in certain things from time to time.
Yeah.
Actually got lost between two flats. in the building between two flats, a flat
Right.
here, flat
Yeah.
here, open on both ends. And they say, well, where's Anthony Perkins? We need him to the set. And so I go back and I happen to like just be, in back where the props and stuff, and I'm looking for something, and I walk past the scene dock, right, which has all the flats on it, and there's two flats there that are like 10 feet long, right, and they're 10 feet high, and they're sitting facing each other, and one of them is one room from something, and the other is a room from something else, right, and I walk past them. And just happened to glance down across, and there's 5 feet into them, standing there is Anthony Perkins. And he's looking directly at the flat, which has a window in it right in front of him. And then the flat that's 2 feet behind him has a door in the middle of it, and it's another color. And he looks at the window. And of course, he can't see out the window because it's looking onto another flat, right? And he's looking, and he kind of has his hands up like this, and then all of a sudden he turns it around 180 degrees, and he looks behind him, and now he's looking at
A door
in another look, right? And then he look at it, and I'm standing at then watching this little performance, and he's like, and he goes, "Dah!" And he turns 180 degrees and looks back at the window. And it's like, oh, that's that window. And then he turns, and he's completely lost. And so I kind of like walk down, and he goes, and finally he turns to see me, and he goes, "Man, can you help me? I'm completely lost in this room.
Wow.
And this room doesn't even make any sense." And I was like, okay. And so instead of leading him to the set, which I thought kind of was going to be problematic, I led him to his trailer and kind of helped him remain lost for another 15, 20 minutes or so because we were coming up on lunch. And I kept him lost until we hit lunch, and then he had another hour to put together whatever the hell he was putting together.
Right.
And at the end of that, when he came back, he was better. I'm not going to say he was great, but he was a little bit better.
What year was that?
I don't
I'm trying to
know.
think of how old he was at that point.
He was older. And
He always said that he always had a look where, I'm not surprised by the story is what I'm trying to say.
oh, okay. Oh, no, absolutely. Yeah, he had a driver that literally came up to me, and I'm talking to the driver, and the driver just goes, "Mm-hmm." Thank you for understanding, because the driver figured out what I had done, that I had taken him around. What basically did was I took him out of that situation and out the back door and back around to his trailer so that nobody saw him go in, because of course, once they've checked the trailer, nobody's going to go back to it again. And we snuck in. I got him into the trailer, and the driver sidles up to me and goes, "Yeah, thanks for that. That's."
And he was the director?
Nice. Yeah, he was the director.
That says a lot about it right there. It's
Yeah,
like
well, yeah.
the
Trust me.
director's getting lost in a...
Oh, yeah. I
man.
know what the problem was. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that film, it was just plagued with stupid. I mean, there's, and it wasn't evil stupid. It was just stupid. I remember we had a scene where we had this breakaway that was going to have like these a horse's hoof just come through the breakaway, right? And I put the breakaway in, and I'm sitting down here, and the handler is down at the next bay. It's a huge kennel, and at the next bay, you see the horse in here, right? You see the horse's head, and then the horse disappears, and then all of a sudden, it's my job they hear a, and I kick the leg. I had a fake horse leg, and I kick it, through the balsa wood panel, right? And and big joke, except for what happens is the guy who was supposed to be the wrangler stepped off to take a piss and gave it to his 2-day-old assistant. Right. And the assistant has the horse. The assistant, the horse the assistant does whatever it makes to make the horse go
like a little finger
this.
maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly it. And I'm maybe 15 feet down to do this, and the horse didn't really wanted nothing to do with the assistant. And so the horse turns around and heads straight for me, right? And I'm like, oh, I'm going to kick this.
With your fake leg.
Yeah, with my fake leg. And I'm thinking to myself, well, wait a minute, because this was like a really narrow kennel and long. And it's like there wasn't enough. I'm at the end of it, right? And this horse is coming at me. I'm like, well, there's only going to be so much, horse and Mick and panel and so forth. And that horse turned around and kicked me. And so the thing that the camera got, instead of a foot coming, was a 100% certified Mick came through the panel.
Oh, yeah. I guess that's your best option.
Yeah, well, it was like it was either the panel or me, and one of us was going to go, and it was the panel.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, that film just had stupid written all over it. Oh, some of the ski stuff that we did, was astounding though. We had Don Burgess, who is a DP. Eventually, I think Don Burgess actually did. What's the one with the feather floating down? Forrest Gump.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Forrest Gump. I think that he was one of the primary photographers.
That's how it opens, right? The movie?
Yeah, why don't you go look and see if I got the right people here. Yeah, who's the DP? There he is, Don Burgess. Yep. Now click on him. Space Rangers. I worked with him there. Castaway.
Richie Rich.
Yeah, he's probably even actually pulled it off of here. Oh, it was second unit. So he was probably just paid to because you know what Don could do that nobody else could do is he could ski with the camera and shoot with the camera like backwards. He's skiing backwards. His skis are mounted backwards. He has special boots,
right?
And he uses particular skis that have the
right. Okay.
What are they called? Bindings. Has the bindings are backwards, and he could ski with his eye in the camera. Right? And this isn't a camera like they have nowadays.
Right, yeah.
I mean,
Really
the
heavy
camera. It's heavy. It's you got to have your eye in a particular spot to see the Fresnel and to see what your frame is. And he could do it backwards, skiing, never even look up, and he could do kicks going back and forth like that. It was absolutely the craziest thing to see. I mean, it was the only thing about the movie that was any good was watching Don Burgess ski and shoot at the same time.
Wow.
It was amazing.
How do you see behind him? Do you have a mirror, or do you just kind of feel it?
You just feel it. I mean, basically what he would do is he would say, we're coming down here, right? And you guys are going to keep this clear. And so, he would have spotters, ski spotters that were part of his team, and they would keep it. Oh, okay. Like they would keep it clear
off
for
frame
him.
or whatever.
Right. And another thing is I think that he actually had somebody that would, say left or right, to try and keep him in the general track of where he had to be. Wow. But he was amazing. I also worked with him on Runaway Train. He did second unit. And he's crazy. Just up in this, just doing snow stuff. Amazing.
He has an amazing resume, it looks like.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm pretty sure none of his second unit stuff is going to be
working on Aquaman.
Yeah, is he? Yeah, doing it right now. Yeah. He's like me. He ought to be getting up there in years. But look, he did Flight, all kinds of stuff.
Conjuring 2. So after Muppets Most Wanted, he did The Conjuring 2.
Yeah, well, who wouldn't,
like,
right? I mean, come on.
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the story of. Oh, let's see what else. What else did we do that was a disaster? Joe Lasky, when he was skiing and he had to go up the ski lift, right? But they had a fake guy, do the skiing down. He was afraid to get on the lift. He started to scream and we had to shut the lift down because he was screaming because it had gone up to 15 feet and it was going to get up to like 30 or 40 feet, and so what he wanted me to do is he wanted me to put him in a stunt harness to go up, right? So we had to put him in a stunt harness underneath his clothes. So he's already in the ski lift. He doesn't do the coming up and it hits him in the butt. His double had to do that. We put him in a skiing harness, and then I had to snap the harness on to the ski rig and then ride up with him, all the while talking to him like I was talking to a baby. Talk to him all the way up as we went up the hill. And one thing I can tell you in general about comedians is, in general, you got your two kinds of comedians. You have your comedians that when they're on, they're really funny. When they're off, they're horrible people.
Right. Which is a lot of comedians.
Most of them in general, really, most of them are that way. He definitely was in that school. Definitely. Absolutely, definitely. He was just, he was, and for some reason I was his buddy on the show, and it was difficult. It really was a test, the whole thing, all the way down the line, and mistakes were made fairly consistently. In fact, if you look at the film,
I don't know if I ever want to. But
I
would like to see the behind the scenes though. But
I think the worst part of it is when you work on a comedy and it's not funny, and the music hasn't been cut in, and the laugh track isn't in, and they show it to you, and and it is the most soul-wilting experience you can imagine.
Oh, God.
And then when the lights come back on,
you have to act like, oh, that was great.
Yeah, and it's hard. Oh man, it's hard. It's like phony smiles, and you have to learn to say things like, "Wow."
You just like to think, dude, I like what you did with you come up with stuff.
You know what? You couldn't even do that. I'm not seriously. I mean, I think that this was the first time that I actually just used the wow defense. You just go, wow. I'm speechless. Wow. Because speechless was the way to be.
See, I would find a way to go pee, like, oh, I gotta go to the bathroom real quick.
Don't think I didn't do that. Well, there you go.
Yeah, wow.
Wow. Wow. Just like
that was a great story.
That was, wow. Yeah, there you go.
This is Kurt Thomas along with Mick Strawn. Thank you for listening to the Dream Warrior Review. If you have any questions or just have feedback for our show, we welcome them at dreamwarriorreview@gmail.com. Of course, you can find us on Facebook and Twitter as well. As always, please follow us and tell your friends about us too. See you next time.